Welcome back to Nick Lenz Comic Corner Classics, that's non-classics. This is episode number 1609 and Doubleshot number 1503. Now, I have roughly two trades here. One is a DC trade, it's a Vanilla Rise run, and a manga, but this manga is an adaptation of a TV show, which I'll get to. Alright, first up it is the final trade that collect issues from Joshua Williamson's run for this series, Batman Superman. This collect issues 7 through 12 and the annual from Volume 2 for Batman Superman. This annual overall is actually the third annual for the series. Well, technically you can count this as the fourth annual because there was an annual that was actually published from the previous volume for this series. Technically, I think it was the fourth annual. We got 3 story arcs here. Now, this book is called World's Deadliest. Yeah, the last 9 issues of Josh Williamson's run. Yeah, not very long run, surprisingly. Now, there's like 3 different story arcs here, okay? The first one, which by the way, the artwork in here is by Nick DeDargan, Clayton Henry, Max Renner, Gabe Minokorf, Dale Ingersam, and Andrea Breeson. The cover art is done by Dave Marquez and Andreas Swartz. I think it's pronounced it. First up, we have a two-parter from issues 7 and 8. Yes, 7 and 8. Which basically follows the events of Man of Steel. It's called The Kandor Compromise. It's the first 2 issues of this thing. This is a two-parter which has a guest appearance by General Zod and Ra's al Ghul. Now, they do mention that General Zod started a new life for himself on another planet, which as far is true. Yeah, this is brought up mostly in pages of Green Lantern. Yeah, this mostly is a follow-up basically from Dan Jurgens stuff. So, apparently because what happened in the events of the Man of Steel miniseries by Brian Michael Bendis, Kandor was apparently destroyed. The Bow of Kandor during the whole thing of that miniseries. And this two-parter is a loose follow-up to it, where General Zod decided to basically save some of the people from, well, Kandor and revive via the Lazarus, basically when they're tiny people. Also, by the way, General Zod and Ra's al Ghul fight each other here. Heck, there's actually a nod to Superman 2 in here, because anybody knows the infamous line for Superman 2, "Kneel before Zod." Yes, here it's "Kneel before Ra's al Ghul." Love that Easter egg. I think that's Easter egg from Superman 2, which I think is so hilarious. Though eventually they're stopped, and of course, General Zod takes a portion of Kandor back home. Apparently, his son is actually doing really well, but he failed at history of Kandor. And of course, it's revealed that the House of Zod has a big history with the city of Kandor, which was really good. Next 3 issues is a 3-parter involving the Atomic Skull. Yes. Now, this actually from Atomic Skull, this falls from what happened in the Adam Glass Teen Titans issues, where Adam Glass was captured by Damian Wayne. Now, this is something I thought was really weird. Why would Damian want to capture the Atomic Skull, even though he was reformed, and he was working for the Metropolis Police Department? This was revealed in the pages of Superwoman, where he was actually being controlled, and then apparently here's the thing: Atomic Skull dies in these 3 issues, and it turns out he was actually being controlled by somebody else. Who, you might ask? The Ultra Humanite, which seems quite strange because this technically is the first time Ultra Humanite has appeared post Flashpoint on the main Earth, because this actually is the real one, mind you, not that stupid creature who popped up in that Doom Hat story from Action Comics. This is the actual Humanite. Now, this one did technically pop up in the pages of Earth 2 Society. Though I should point out that was the Earth 2 version of the character. This is the Prime Earth version. So you kind of say this is the first Prime Earth version appearance of the Ultra Humanite. This, of course, is the rare one. And it takes about 3 issues in here. Issues 9 through 11. The last 4 issues in here, actually it's more like issues 12 to 13, is another 3-parter. Yeah, basically from 12 to 14, it's mostly a team-up story because You think, though, this might focus on Batman and Superman 3 issues, but nope, this focus on Steel and Batwoman. Well, they're teaming up because they're working together as a partnership to save Superman and Batman from Kamiko. Yes, a Metal Man villain. And of course, there's also nods to other stories. So the first story arc referenced the events of the Man of Steel miniseries. Here, we reference Justice League Do More, which I have reviewed, excellent storyline, and Supergirl Volume 3 Infectious. This storyline also references another. Of course, there's a three-parter known as Planet Brainiac. Yes, this takes up pretty much the next 3 issues of the storyline. Yes, it's mostly them taking out robotic versions of known characters. And it's just a really fun storyline here. Mm-hmm. Yeah, pure fun. Mm-hmm. And of course, we have a version of the composite Superman. You're probably thinking, who the heck is this guy? He's pretty much a creature who's a kind of a clone of Batman and Superman, who are basically combined into one. Mm-hmm. And they think you're facing against Brainiac, but turns out it's just some rogue program of Batman's. And that's what pretty much is the three-parter. It's just really good. Now, the annual, the from what I can tell, the sole annual the series are published, because the series actually ended recently. Yes, they replaced Josh Williamson with a new writer, and then about exactly six issues after they replaced the writer, the book ends. Though it did have a one-shot published right after the book ended. This is a annual which has Mixie Mixaplick and Bat-Mite. Yes, frickin' Bat-Mite. Of course, Bat-Mite appears in here. Yeah, it's a fun annual, and it just doesn't much anything to the main series, but I thought it was really good. Mm-hmm. Oh, and by the way, at the end of the Atomic Skull three-parter, it's implied, what I can tell at the ending, looks like Atomic Skull resurrects himself, and he does something else. That's most of what happens at the end of this. That three-parter. The final issue of this story arc, which, by the way, has a guest appearance by Solomon Grundy. Yes, Solomon Grundy. This follows from the events of... Well, let's see. First, we have a guest appearance by Poison Ivy, even though... Yeah, it's kind of weird, though. This is apparently supposed to be Poison Ivy. I think this is probably an early version of her. They say this was months ago, even though everyone's wearing their new costumes. Yeah, then we have them taking on... Get this. We have Lady Vic. Looks like Nightshade and a few people. Yeah, just basically taking out her villains while protecting Solomon Grundy for some reason. And we also get the appearance by Swamp Thing. Yes, Swamp Thing. Who has a face-to-face encounter with Solomon Grundy. Yeah, and here's a little fun fact for you. These two have met each other before in pre-Flashpoint. Where, you might ask? The Solomon Grundy miniseries. Yep. Yeah, and of course during the snowball fight, and that's pretty much how the book ends. Now, I do appreciate, though, the fact they reference previous other storylines here, just so basically we can understand what the heck they're talking about. And I love the fact that a lot of this stuff takes place after the particular storylines, because I think Josh Williamson was trying to do his best to keep up with what's going on in the DC Universe as a whole at this point. But this still is really good, and I give this book a 9.5 out of 10. Really fun book. Now, my final thoughts on this very brief run. Yeah, these two trades here, these collect the entire Josh Williamson run for this book. And it's only 15 issues in an annual. The very first story arc of the series, that was mostly like a tie-in to the infected stuff related to the Year of the Villain. And this is just a series of story arcs that came right afterwards. It's interesting, though, Williamson did, like if you look at this, basically for these 9 issues, you have a 2-parter, 2 3-parters in a row, the annual course, and a standalone issue. And by the way, these stories have nothing to do with crossovers. This is mostly like referencing stuff and probably falling to My guess is, from what I can tell, it's mostly follow-ups to other stuff DC books going at this point. So it's nice the fact Williamson did this, but the thing is that he had left the book for some reason. Yeah, I'm not really sure why he left. It's just by far the second book I've seen that he's worked on lately where it abruptly ends after only a very short period of time. The only book I could think of he actually left after a very short period was just like Odyssey. That was the second book that happened with him where he left after a short period of time. That one he left after only doing 5 issues. This one after about 15 issues, and this run was really good. Now, of course, the replacement writer who took over the book is the writer of New Superman, who actually had a pretty interesting story arc, and then it ended after only 7 issues. Not really sure why. Though you might ask, okay, where can you find Josh Williamson currently at DC? Well, he's working on the Robin series, which basically his current run is actually really good. He's also working on Deathstroke Incorporated, which basically Deathstroke working with Black Canary. And it was announced just like a month or two ago that he is going to be taking over Batman from Jameson IV. Yes, they take over issue 118, which is the first issue just after Fear State wraps up. Which I'm thinking, that's interesting. So, at least DC picked a guy who actually has experience writing Batman. Yeah, this probably was a test for him to basically, like him doing this book, and then of course he leaves. And it's interesting though that by the time he left this book, he had already wrapped up his run for Flash, his long running run for Flash, which lasted for 4 years, and that run was fantastic. Loved it. Yep. Now, in the case of his next book, now I mentioned before when I reviewed Batman and Justice League, I don't normally review manga unless, of course, I have a specific reason to. This one, definitely do. Yes, this stuff was originally published in Japan, but it's an adaptation of a Super Sentai show. Which one, you might ask? The very first one. Super Sentai. Himitsu Sentai Gorenger. Or Gorenger, as I've heard of it as. Yes, this one's actually done by the series creator, which his name is Shitaro Isamori. Yes, he's the one who writes this, which makes sense the fact he would write a group of characters he actually created for live action. Now, the thing with this guy, aside from being, well, here's the thing. He created Gorenger, he created Jock, and he did also, I think he wrote the Jock versus Gorenger film, and I think that was it. He did for Super Sentai. But he was pretty much, from what I can tell, when I mentioned this book, he was first and foremost a manga writer, and yet he was given reins of a TV show. Yes, this book mostly takes place during the events of the show itself. Like, the first portion of this book takes place prior to the events of the very first episode of the series, where you actually have the current Aka Ranger, aka I call him Go Red. That's why I call him Go Red, or Aka 1. I call him Go Red because Go Ranger, and he's the Red Ranger. Now, they do show him basically gets a suit, and the fact he tried out when he was hired for part of the Eagle Branch. Yeah, the Eagle Branch, in case you don't know what the heck Eagle is, it's a military organization that was put together to fight the Black Cross Army. That was simply the purpose of the organization. And if I remember watching the very first episode, a lot of their bases were destroyed, and these 5 people were chosen as basically the only survivors. Now, in the case of, they do mention the whole thing with the helmets. Yes, they mention in here of why Go Reds is different from the other ones. Yeah, the reason why his helmet is a prototype. That's the reason why yes, the whole thing with his being different color, that's not the issue. It's design-wise, it's completely different. It's a prototype. That's simply the reason for it. And a lot of the time, basically, when I'm reading this, it seems like you might think, title of the show, do they fight any new monsters to appear in the show? No, they basically fight a bunch of tanks. They do have the signature jet they have from the show, which I do appreciate him throwing that in here, including some of the motorcycles. Oddly enough, this side takes place during the show. There's no appearance of the Black Cross King at all in here. Excuse me. The Black Cross King was at the time, and still considered to be this very day, the very first Super Sentai main villain. The Gorenger fought him over the course of 2 years before he was finally destroyed, though he was revived a couple times over the years. The first time being in the 35th anniversary film, Go Kaiju vs. Go Sager, 35th anniversary, and he was also revived for a superhero tension movie, Kamen Rider vs. Super Sentai, where he was briefly revived by Captain Marvel as a part of his evil army, when he was basically turned evil, though it was a trick anyways. Yeah, it's just basically some fun stuff here, and I love the fact we actually get a chance to expand upon stuff that was shown in the show. Though it's interesting, here's the thing, is there any any one of the masked monsters appear in here who appear in the show? Yes, one. They have one monster who technically, if we're looking for the monsters, I don't know if this one appeared in the show. I never watched any further than the first 4 episodes. Where this is known as the Skull Monster. Now, here's the thing about the other Rangers. Now, they do mention the fact that Go Red had a girl, apparently looked like a girlfriend named Yonko. No, she did not become an actual member of the Go Rangers. Now, the Yellow Ranger has got a reputation for being a glutton. The reason why is because he eats a lot of food. You want to know why for that? Because he grew up in a family about 10. He had a bunch of siblings, and he apparently didn't eat very much because of the fact that he had a bunch of siblings. That was simply the reason for it. And he was basically also the muscle man of the group. Now, in the case of the other ones, they don't really explore them very much in here because I haven't watched much of Go Ranger, so I don't know exactly how a lot of that stuff is completely accurate. Though I do think it's kind of dumb the fact that Go Ranger spent a lot of time in the original main series, which, by the way, there's a couple of versions of the series in here. They have the Weekly Shonen Sunday version, which this one is approximately, get this, like 200 pages. There's basically the entire feature in here with that one, along with the 5th grader book for Go Ranger. And those stories are about 30 pages apiece. Yeah, like 30 pages. But this book is really good. I do like it. I give the book a 10 out of 10 for being a classic book. Yeah, it definitely fits the fact it's a classic. Though, one thing I wish, though, for this particular Super Sentai season, how about an official sub version of the show instead of having a fan version? Yeah, there's a fan version. It's like still the version of fan sub online, but there's no official sub version of this thing. No, there isn't. Yeah, Shell Factory never subbed this one for some reason. I mean, the only first one they subbed that wasn't adapted for Power Rangers was Jetman. And the first they've subbed to is Hurricaneger. I don't know if they're going to sub over ones basically that never had it. Now, am I going to do a review of the Go Ranger for my Super Sentai reviews, you might actually ask? Not currently, no, but the reason why, it is long. This Sentai, excuse me, it is 84 episodes. It will take me a long time to get through this. Compared to the other ones, basically won't take me too long per se. This one will take me twice as long as the other ones. Yeah, that's the thing with this one. The episodes are really long. I'm interested in the show. I like the concept of the show. I like the monsters when I see pictures of them. But watching all that stuff, it would take a long time. That'll come down the road. Okay? So yes, that's the episode review, and that's it for videos today. Yeah. Also, when I saw this book at Barnes Noble today, because I went there today, I figured though, I'm going to get it. Because I like Super Sentai. And thing is, it's actually published by 7 Seas Entertainment, which there's the logo right there. Yes, I kind of wish that 7 Seas Entertainment would translate. Now, from what I've read online, apparently some of the early ones were adapted to manga. From what I can see, it looks like they adapted up until maybe like Sun Vulcan, possibly, but that's it. Could I see more of these translated? Yes, I can definitely see it. But it all depends. This apparently came out just recently. I did see this also pop up on Linkara's mailbag. Yeah, he actually got one of these books. And I don't know if he's actually reviewed this, but... Oh, I should show off some of the guy's artwork. Aside from the cover artwork, which is really good. The style itself reminds me a lot of Okay. Yeah, the style itself reminds me a lot of Lupin the Third. Yeah, that's what the style reminds me of, but it's really good. I thoroughly enjoy this. Now, I will see you all tomorrow for my reviews for My Hero Academia, Mushoku Tenshin, Black Clover, One Piece, and Boruto. One Piece is a maybe if in fact they release new episodes. Because there's no new chapter come out, they might skip a week. It depends. Okay, next video. Bye.